All right, very, very excited about this conversation. Joining us in studio to talk about the Integrity Summit is Jerry Colangelo and Gregg Ostro. First of all, guys, thanks for doing this again this year and coming in and talking about this.
Happy to be here with you.
Mr. Colangelo, before we get into the summit itself, I want to talk to you about this because you've been on my podcast. You and I have had a few conversations, and it always comes up, integrity and the idea of having good people around you, the people that played for you, the managers of the organizations and the teams you've owned. Why has this been a cornerstone or a big piece of everything you do?
Well, I think when you look for integrity, you look for people who are good people, of good character, rather than characters, your chance of being successful goes up quite a bit. And so it's a pretty simple equation.
When you look at professional sports, let's start there. It seems as if the focus is always on you have to have the ability to perform on the court or on the field. But it seemed at least to go beyond that with you, that they had to have the character that matched the talent. Was that part of the plan?
I don't think there's any question about it. And that was true with the Suns and the Diamondbacks by way of example, all the teams, because quite honestly, that's who I am. I believe in what I'm selling, so to speak. And when you look at even GCU, we want people of character to represent GCU. Why? Because the downside is so great if you don't.
Right. When you look at, and I'm glad you brought up Grand Canyon University, because the transformation of GCU from the mid-90s to where they are now has been incredible. But your involvement there and them naming the school after you, the business school after you, what that basketball program has accomplished, there is an atmosphere on that campus, and the people in that neighborhood and the revitalization of that area has been credited to GCU. That has been an incredible transformation.
I think I mentioned this last time we were together, but I think the business story of what transpired at GCU and the job that Brian Mueller has done in 15 years, basically, is one of the great business stories ever in our state, for sure. And even throughout the country, it's an amazing story. Again, he surrounds himself with good people. Everyone is a team. Everyone's on the team. And you can get a lot of things done with people of high character. And that's the reason, in my opinion, the great leadership and the people who are selected make it work.
May I jump in and say, back to sports integrity, we do the Integrity Summit Quote of the Week. This past week, it was Jay Bell. Jay Bell I spoke to, and he talked about how he got on a plane to meet this expansion team. He had heard about this guy, Jerry Colangelo. Then he sits down with Jerry Colangelo, and Jerry talks about faith, family, and integrity. Mm-hmm. That he goes, I don't want characters on my team. I want a team with character. Jay Bell said that made the difference of coming to an expansion team late in his career. Integrity. And what happened 4 years later? They win the World Series in one of the worst moments of American history, rising above it with integrity and sportsmanship.
Yeah, it was, and that was a time that team was so much fun to watch, and that's the other thing that I loved about those teams is they were easy to cheer for because they were people that you really enjoyed being around. We're talking about sports, we're talking about all of these, and somebody that was so close to you in Al McCoy. He was such a good man to me in my career. I was such a novice in this business, but he treated me like a peer and was so good to me. Can you reflect a little bit on your relationship with Al?
Absolutely. When I heard the voice, when I first came to Arizona, he was doing a lot of radio. I didn't know what he looked like. I expected a big, strong guy.
Gosh, yes.
And when I finally met him, to think about his stature and that voice coming out of a smaller version, it was amazing to me. And so when it was opportune, just a few years after we had started the Suns, I wanted to hire him. Now, what did he do? He sold the game, and not only in our city, but in the entire Southwest. He developed a great following. Do you remember the name Chick Hearn?
Of course.
All right, Chick Hearn was the voice of the Lakers when they moved from Minneapolis to Los Angeles for the first team on the West Coast, along with the Warriors in San Francisco. He sold the game. He sold the people in Los Angeles. They didn't know about NBA basketball. And so I put Al in the same category. The fact that he became a Hall of Famer as a broadcaster, that was a very proud moment for me back in Springfield when that took place a few years ago. He got into his 90s, and he made a comment to me just before he passed. He said, "I've had a long life. I've met a lot of people. I've been able to do a lot of great things, but I'm ready. I'm tired." And I said, "Thanks, Al, for everything you did."
He was such a terrific human being and selfless with his time. Everywhere he went, people wanted a picture and to shake his hand and to tell a story of a memory of him. And he was so patient and kind and was just so good to so many people. And I think that was such a reflection on your organization as well. He was representing you, and it was just a terrific representation.
Well, if these things are important to you, you want to surround yourself with people who feel the same way, and then you have a chance to succeed.
Isn't it true that you've told me this story, you passed on a pretty legendary name, as it turns out, in Al Michaels?
Well, I did, but that's before Al Michaels was really known.
But that's the kind of talent that was coming that wanted to work for you.
Yeah, it's really a funny story, and I think just very quickly to give it to you, the first office I had when I came here in 1968 was in a little room underneath the grandstand at the Coliseum Fairgrounds. And so the door was open, and I had a couple of boxes for a desk and a chair and a phone. And one day in that first week or 10 days, someone knocked on the door and peeked his head in there and said, "Hi, I'm Al Michaels. Are you Jerry?" I said, "Yeah." Well, he was there covering for the Hawaii Islanders AAA baseball against the Phoenix Giants. So that was my first meeting with Al Michaels. We, over the years, have kidded about that moment. I went on with my career. He certainly did his, and he did a wonderful thing. So you never know who you're going to meet along the way. So do things the right way, and you have a chance to make things happen.
Yeah.
Right way, and just as I'm listening to this, okay, Jerry's been in business now for, he's a young guy, but probably 60-some years. Al McCoy was in business doing broadcasts for 60, 70 years. Do we hear besmirching? Do we hear ugly, icky, bad? No. So what's the power of integrity? You get decades of a career because you don't have to look over your shoulder. You don't have to wonder what you said or did.
And that's the money, and that statement of the money comes and goes, but your reputation lasts forever. And that's what I'd like to do in the next segment is I want to talk about why you're doing this event and what you're trying to instill in the next generation of leaders and why it's so important if you're in leadership in a business or otherwise that integrity has to lead the way. So if you don't mind, if you can join me, we're going to stay. We've got Gregg Ostro, but we've got the legendary Jerry Colangelo in studio with us. Thanks for listening, by the way, especially if you're out in the town of Maricopa. Thanks for listening this hour. All right, we are back. We are talking with Jerry Colangelo and Gregg Ostro about the Integrity Summit, and we've been talking about this topic of integrity because it means so much to you, Mr. Colangelo. Let's talk about why you're doing these events. Why is it important to you to talk about the current generation or the next generation of leaders, and why you think this topic is the most important thing they need to know?
I think it's important for all people to pass on good things to the next generation and future generations. And when you're living in a particular sector of the world, if you will, in terms of business, it's all about relationships. When I tell kids at GCU, how do you prepare yourself for the future? It's about building relationships, and you need to have integrity so people trust you. If you get to the point where your handshake means everything as much as a signed contract, you're well on your way. So from my perspective, we can't change the world, but every individual who is touched and hears the story can take it and go with the next step. And we want integrity to be a part of everyone's life. And we'll do the best we can. My opinion is as long as I'm still around, I'll continue to do that.
It's interesting because I would imagine people would like to have a meeting with you to talk about investing in real estate and developing real estate and get a little insight in how to become successful in business. But the conversations I've had with you have been about the issue of who you are and not what you do.
Correct.
I think that is something that is bigger than your success, and it's probably led to your immense success.
I think it goes hand in hand. Without integrity, it's much more difficult to be successful. Now, you may be successful for a while, but there's a downfall around the corner because you don't have a basis. You don't have a foundation. And I will tell you that in my life, and I've been around for a while, if I had taken a different course, I don't think I would have accomplished anything like has been accomplished during my lifetime.
This event, what can people expect that are attending? What can people expect that are attending this event?
What distinguishes Integrity Summit and why Jerry and I do this event is for transformation. How do you get people to transform? You have to make it real. So Integrity Summit is where you have a Jerry Colangelo, a Brian Mueller, a Ryan Hatch, 2 Supreme Court justices, Ann Myers Drysdale, the legendary basketball player, telling their real-life stories of integrity where they were wronged by integrity and what its price was, or when integrity was there. And so, for example, integrity is why a guy like Jerry Colangelo, who grew up in 2 boxcars in Chicago Heights, is a world-renowned, respected sports executive, business executive. At Grand Canyon University, when I first did some workshops with the students in the Honors College, they said integrity is do the right thing. When I asked what's the right thing, that's where the work really came in, because there's not enough talk about what is the right and wrong. And I'm going to steal from Coach K and add a dollop. Coach K said, what's integrity? Don't lie, cheat, or steal. I add, don't fake it.
Well, and when you let me talk about the cost of integrity for a moment, because it doesn't always bring you success. There are times that your integrity means it may cost you something. You may lose. So what is that like? Why is it more important to have integrity than to either win or to be successful or to have the check written? An example of that.
Well, you have to be willing to take that step, knowing that it may not work out, but you do it the right way and you're true to yourself. You're doing it with integrity. Sure, you could try to take shortcuts and you might get away with it for a while. And some people get away with it for a long time. But at the end of their lives, I would say they failed.
And making sure you're doing business with people, whether it's somebody that coaches a team you've owned, played for a team you've owned, or in business, making sure you have people around you that have that integrity. And if they don't, you've been quick to dismiss them.
Well, yes, it's not black and white. It's not,
right.
like anything like that. But you focus on wanting good people of character, be it on the court, on the field, in your office, and you build teams. You build teams of people. And when people are together on this in a team effort, it's fun. It makes life a lot more enjoyable.
When people, I know you have to get to an event, so I want to get information out. If people want to learn more about this, if they want to attend, are they still able to?
Yes.
And if they want information, how do they get it?
IntegrityTiger.com.
So how did the Integrity Tiger part of this come up? Where did the tiger come from?
So, Jerry is a marketeer. I'm a marketeer. He named the bulls, and he can give substantiation behind it. It was in the meat district of Chicago, etc. As I was developing this with Jerry, I wanted something to connect humans to the concept of integrity. And I did some homework, and tigers are the most popular animals in the world, more so than lions. They're true to their mission. The word tiger is in the word integrity. I needed a bridge. We wanted a bridge to humans and the concept. So if you go to Brian Mueller's office, if you go to Ryan Hatch's office, if you go to offices around here at other organizations, you're going to see Integrity Tiger to ignite the conversation about integrity, which is too often only talked about when something terrible has occurred.
So if you would like to attend, if you have your group of people in your business, in your company, you yourself would like to attend, you go to IntegrityTiger.com. IntegrityTiger.com. There is going to be a list of speakers' names you'll recognize and people that you will never forget. Thank you both so much. It's great to see you both again.
Nice to see you.
All right.
Thanks for watching the Mike Broomhead Show. Catch up on Amazing Arizonans, a KTAR News podcast, and click the button in the middle to subscribe.